what I write about.
Anything. Whatever brings you ease. A memory, a thought, a place. Write it down.
What my idea was, I was going to do a sort of bucket list thing, and the bucket list thing was I was going to go on the Trans-Siberian Express. In my mind, I thought it was going to debrief and it was going to be great. I'm there like 5 minutes, and I realised this is not going to be the romantic Dostoevsky kind of, you know, debriefing experience I thought it would be. It's got a rattly old tin box. I'm like, what am I going to do? This is ridiculous, you know. I'm on here like 8 days. I'm going through Siberia. And I had taken with me 2 things. I had a few bottles of Australian red wine, and I had the then new iPod. And on it, I had music, and I had 2 recorded books. Now, I don't remember what the other recorded book was, but one of them was F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Put it on, glass of wine, Siberia going by. 6 hours later, I wake up, you know. I've been listening to the novel, spoken, recorded version of the novel for 6 hours. And I distinctly remember thinking to myself, that is almost perfect cinematic structure in that it's really a novella. It's a very compressed book with a lot of density. But the problem that everyone's had with it as a film is that it's almost entirely internal. It's the internal narrative of Nick Carraway. And so in that moment I went, but I want to solve that problem.
Baz first approached me about working on The Great Gatsby with him, I think it was in 2010. He had secretly owned the rights to the novel for some time, and he'd long thought that it would be an amazing film, and he long wanted to do it, but he hadn't really talked about it to anyone.
Fitzgerald wrote beautiful literature about coming into New York Harbour past the Statue of Liberty. I thought, well, I'm going to go on the Queen Mary, which is not something I would normally do with the kids and Sian, and we're going to come into New York Harbour and start the process like Fitzgerald did returning to his lost mirage of a city. We came in under the Statue of Liberty, and when that boat docked, that morning I got up in a helicopter and I started scouting Long Island, and I flew over Long Island and I looked, oh yeah, right, there's West Egg, that's East Egg, you know, that's actually, you know, Port Washington, that's where it is now. I mean, he mythologized the name of the place. Oh, I see, that must have been the Valley of the Ashes. So one of the great moments, for example, on one of the very early scouts it was all about Gatsby's death, and as you know in the book, you know, spoiler, he dies. He gets shot in a swimming pool. I'd put together a library of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photographs from the era. But there was this photograph of a swimming pool in a mansion on Long Island that kind of looked like a Roman Colosseum with stairs high at the back and a low section at the front. And I saw this photograph of the pool and I went, oh my God, this is the perfect staging. If you're going to shoot someone in the back, you really want to see the murderer high up from behind. You know, perfect. I was like, this feels great. We were out scouting at one of the old mansions, which is now a touristy place, and I was looking through the window and I thought, oh, look at that. That's a bit of something sticking out of the grass. And then I realized it was the swimming pool, but it was buried under the grass. And the same swimming pool that is in that photograph was that pool, but it had been filled in with grass. So we quickly got under the fence, and Anton, who runs my company and I produce music with, and Skylar Weiss, who works with me, who was assisting at the time.
Hasta la vista, Gatsby.
He gets up, pretends to have the gun. Anton pretends to swim on the grass, right? Gets up slowly. I'm sort of calling the shots. And the stills, the photographs that were taken on that day of Anton miming getting up, of Skylar walking down the stairs, of the gun slowly coming up, of shooting, and Anton falling back. If you look at the sequence, if you cut to the sequence in the film, the pool is identical because we rebuilt that pool. The position of the actors is identical because we just restaged that. And then eventually Leonardo rehearsed it. So those things, some of them are fully formed, they just make sense. It was fun, you know, and that part of it, actually the research part of it, it never gets better. And then the rest of the process is about putting a limit on your imagination.
Baz handed me an original copy of Gatsby and said, I've gotten the rights to this and I want to take this on You know, not only is it a very daunting, scary concept, but it means you have a lot of responsibility to make, you know, a memorable, good film that can be spoken in the same breath as the novel.
I got a call from Leonardo DiCaprio, and he said, I just talked to Baz, and he's thinking about doing The Great Gatsby, and he was talking about me and you for Gatsby and Nick. He's in town. He'd love to get together. What are you up to tonight? And I said, I'm around, I'm available. So the three of us got together, hung out for a couple of hours.
We were riding in the Ace Hotel, and I wanted to sort of be in the headspace of Fitzgerald. You know, Craig and I and Toby and Leonardo. So we start reading, Leonardo starts reading, and Toby starts reading. The windows were open, the bay windows, and I'm pretty sure I could hear some sort of jazz playing through the windows, and the air was nice, and the city lights, and it couldn't be more Fitzgerald. And then we were nervously sitting there, and I remember hearing Toby go, and so we beat on boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. And Leonardo and Toby very, very, you know, no pushovers. But Leonardo went. And we knew we had a lot of work to do. And there was a lot of distance between that first draft and where we were going to be. But I think the four of us knew that we had something. Not every afternoon in filmmaking is special or memorable. Much of it is stuff you'd like to forget. But that was a special afternoon.
We did a workshop in New York, just Leo and I, in terms of the actors. We were the only ones cast at that time.
We always workshop. And very early on, we workshopped. I even went to the trouble of finding an old mansion to do the first workshop in. I wanted it to be a bit Gatsby-esque.
Then 9 months later, a lot of the other cast was then in the movie, and we all got together in New York for a week and sit around and read the script and then talk about the character relationships and go through some of the scenes and wear clothes and shoot things, and you know, it was a really fun process.
Life is something that you dominate, if you're any good. Now, about town, I'm not saying that my position on the Sonata is final.
Just because I'm stronger and more of a man than you.
Oh, we're going.
Bang! Tom throws open the doors, and Nick turns to be halted by the vision of interior Buchanan Mansion salon, a shimmering, sun-dazzled room in which enormous white curtains whip and snap in the breeze.
It was like a dream, a very odd kind of Baz Luhrmann-esque 1920s dream. Amazing curtains coming in, and Carrie and I just lying on top of each other on the couch and throwing pillows around and dancing, and it always just felt very natural for us to be Jordan and Daisy.
The cousin. She was the most frightening person I'd ever met, but I enjoyed looking at her.
Do they miss me in Chicago?
Yes, at least a dozen people send their love.
It isn't really about, in the end, script or design or music. It's really about the evolution of the story and the storytelling. And in the end, you know, the baby, it's not so much that you go, the baby is finished. It's just the baby can't help but be born.